Hello.
Oh, do that. Say that. Say it again. Do it again.
Hello.
Hello.
How is everybody doing?
Doing good.
Good morning. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, everybody.
I'm sitting.
Sitting. Yes,
sitting.
I know.
Yeah, Mike's sitting.
I'm still not used to you sitting. I'm still not used to seeing that chair behind you.
Yeah. It's been the week of sitting.
Yeah.
His legs are in the factory right now. He overworked
By the time I finally get my stand-up desk and I'm standing, Mike will be sitting all the
No,
time.
I'll be upside down by the time you get it. My legs will be talking.
Upside down streams.
Next,
the next challenge.
I'll be like, next level this.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh. Everybody, today, I've been asked to do both the intro and the outro. So today, what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk a little bit more about how you spend your time and what actually, what actually is going to help you grow and what is going to help you grow a bit long term, as well as not thinking about the amount of time you're working on your stream so much in terms of how much time you spend on camera, but how much time you spend with it as a whole and where your time is best spent. We spent considerable time before Mike even turned the cameras on. We spent a lot of time before the stream talking about how a lot of people feel that if they're not on camera, they're not working or they're not doing things to generate revenue. And, as the three of us were discussing ahead of time, of course, we've all learned the lessons with this, that's actually not true. That you need what spawned this, everybody, so is we got talking about how when you're trying to create something, if you do it live on stream, and I've had people suggest this to me, and I've actually tried this, where I actually try to build things out for the stream live on stream, but I'm getting so much input that I can't actually focus enough to build the thing that I want to build, on top of the fact that I'm actually pulling away from the community as well, because I need to focus on the thing I'm working on and I'm not paying enough attention to the community. And what that led us into, of course, was you need time for both. You need to limit back a bit the amount of time that you spend on screen with the camera on, so that you can go do some of these other things, so you can bring a better show and bring an overall better experience back to your community. Like,
helps you become more stable too. It helps you stabilize.
Yeah.
And kind of organize your day and understand, like, here I can do this, here I can do that, rather than trying to do it all in one big, like during your stream or something like that. It's just going to confuse you.
And then like packaging up all the ideas and then managing them. I think that's one thing that I'm learning now is managing the ideas at scale. Is like when you have so many, you need to like go back and finish up some of the stuff that you were working on. To try and like tie up loose ends, right? That's essentially what you're doing, and just get through and tie up loose ends before. Because on stream, when you have so many people kind of like giving their input, it just spawns so many ideas. And when you're overloaded with ideas and very little production of those ideas, you just start getting this girth of things that aren't getting done, and it feels overwhelming. And I think that could be a big detriment to your path and whatever you're doing, really, not even just streaming.
Right. Yeah, it's good to be able to take ideas and have time to actually work on them. And then, powering through a 4 to 8 hour stream can be a really exciting. You can make that a really exciting time. But if you know that you're pushing yourself further than whatever time you may be giving yourself, like you're just subconsciously gonna be conserving your energy and it's, streams tend to be more exciting when the streamer has more energy. We've talked about it before. The streamer is kind of like the guide of the stream. Whatever the streamer is feeling or doing is kind of going to represent the environment of the stream.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely, you know, to coin a phrase, it's definitely quality over quantity. I would rather bring, like, when I really looked into it, and I had a chance to talk with a couple of very experienced and I was given the privilege to speak to actually one very accomplished streamer, and I was talking to them about the amount of time they spent, and I used to like just kind of parrot it. It was like, okay, so it should be 4 to 6 hours at a max. But I didn't really understand, like I would say that, and I would say that to other streamers, but I didn't really understand why until I put it into practice. And what I realized was it isn't just about putting on a good show for your community and really being energetic and being there with them. It's about having enough energy after the stream where you can get other things done that need to be done, as well as not be afraid that you're burning off too much energy before the stream to have enough energy left for the stream itself.
Right.
And it makes remaining mentally fresh, because it isn't just about a 4 to 6 hour stream. It's the prep time before, it's the things that you should be doing afterwards as well. So that right there, even with a 6 hour stream, can mean that you've worked for 7-8 hours just for that 6 hours on camera.
Right.
And everything, you got to remember that everything else you're doing goes beyond that, not to mention the fact that to remain mentally fresh, you need to give yourself some days off.
Yeah.
You know, you need to, if I took one day away, like when Mother's Day hit, and I really took a day like out of the studio, away from everything, went and hung with my wife and my daughter and my mom and all that, and just taking the day away, I came back and I was suddenly completing tasks in like a quarter of the time.
It's a good refresh.
Yeah. You actually end up, it's funny because you take a day and you're not working on anything and you feel like, oh my God, I lost that day. But when you come back and you can do the tasks that you need to do that much more quickly and actually get them done and be satisfied with them, you actually make yourself more efficient with the time off.
Right.
Yeah, and there's so much mentality around just go. Like, I got to stream, I got to be out there. How am I going to get discovered if I'm not streaming or if I'm not doing something? I can't take a day off. Like, there's so much competition out there when it comes to streaming. Everyone, I mean, yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's crazy. The thought process behind it of people just, I mean, I've been there and I still am there. Anytime I'm not doing something, I'm like, what can I be doing? And that's why you see me streaming on the beach, because it's like, okay, I'm out of the beach, but I can stream. Let's stream.
Well, as a streamer, you're like always you're playing in a global space.
Yeah.
Right? So you're in like almost the biggest competing ground possible.
Yeah.
At the same time though, it widens the field as far as your audience is concerned too. That
of
opens
course,
you
right?
up to, to a lot more people. So it does, but I do understand what you're saying, Mike. Yeah, the mentality is I'm competing for viewership. So I need to be there all the time. And you start to figure out that no, you don't. It's one of those things that if you're going to master the game, you're going to bring them a better product. You're going to bring them something different. What I was going to say, like along the lines like Spooo talking about being on the beach, which by the way, Spooo, people were coming into my stream yesterday throwing me clips going, you got to look at what Spoo's doing on the beach. You got to check out this new track, right? Because everybody was coming in going, yeah, you got to see Spoo's new track. But to like what you were doing yesterday, speaking of mental refreshment, like shaking up how you handle your content.
Yeah.
Like building in some IRL, or like all of us play other games from time to time, or how like with the podcast, and it was really on my mind yesterday because I was as I talked with Enders for like 3 hours and we did it effortlessly. It provides a different kind of connection to your community. Your community sees a different side of you. You get to see a different side of them. And in a case of something like with the podcast, you get to see a different side of the person that you're actually talking with.
Right.
as well. And that doesn't take away from your content. Like, people will do different things with their content, and their numbers, their viewership will drop, or they're not getting as many followers or something like that. And then all of a sudden they don't see the value in that anymore. In reality, there's massive value in it, because you are now connecting in a different way with your community, which is so critical. If you can go, if you can find ways to shake that up a little bit and go beyond the surface,
yeah,
that is a really, really big deal.
That's challenging.
Yeah, people respond to out of the element type things for sure. You know, if they get so used to you doing something one way, and then all of a sudden another day you try something new out of the ordinary, they're going to be interested. Like, whoa, what's going on? I've never seen him do this before.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. The key thing is to just not shock the community. Like, you can, and by shock I mean like if you're, and I kid with the community about this all the time. Like, if you're used to me being a certain way, or you're used to streamer being a certain way, you know, they always stream MMOs or something like that, and they suddenly show up and you're playing something completely radically different.
Right.
And instead of being this kind, loving individual like they're used to, you're on screen being toxic. Your community is going to respond very negatively to that. They're like, oh, but you need to think a little bit about what's like a natural extension. You know, like when I come to your stream, Spooo, and I see you playing GTFO, you're playing it with the community, and you're still you. And that's the key thing. You're doing something different, but you're still being you. And that's where that line is. That's that line that you need to walk, is you still need to be yourself.
Right. Yeah. You don't want to change up your persona, so to say, so to speak. How's sitting, Mike?
It's different. It's different after not sitting for like 2 months.
Have you been sitting the past few days? Or
I've been just sitting, because like I gotta lower everything, so it's like,
oh right,
it's irritating going up and down. So it's just like I'll sit for like a week and see how it goes. But I think I'm missing standing already. I find like at the end of the day, I've just got excess energy now.
Yeah.
So I gotta burn it.
So I guess standing all day helps you sleep at night.
Yeah, no, standing all day was like really good for that. It was like, yeah, it's just good. It's just good.
But I guess you need a break. You need that standing break, and you need to take a sit.
Yeah, I think I was letting my body heal now, and then the next round of standing will be even longer and stronger.
Standing on your head.
Yeah, that's why I'm setting. Mike, I'm taking your advice. For those of you out there that didn't know, Mike gave me advice about the standing desk, which I think is great, because when I finally bring back like the plur streams and all that, I want to be standing, because it'll be easier for me to move around and all that too. But I'm actually setting mine up like lights and everything, so that it'll automatically raise and lower, so I can actually do it midstream. So I can actually be able to stand up. I watched a few streamers doing that now. They'll actually adjust. I was over in Sup Daily stream, and he, like, one of the things he does with wheel spins is he's got to do like kettlebells and all that. So he'll be sitting there chatting with his community, and all of a sudden he's got to do something active. So he has it so it automatically raises up to a certain level. He does his thing, and then he drops it back down automatically. So yeah, and that's what I'm going for too. And it's tricky, because you have to make sure you've got all the right mounts. You've got to have better camera mounts and lighting mounts and things like that, because you can block off your lights when you raise it, and it gets to be a mess. But yeah, you really do have to plan some of that out. So
you know what I learned today? Well, actually, Kegstand figured it out last night. So I have a setup where I mirror the output from my video card, and one of the outputs goes to my monitor, like my main monitor, and the other output is what goes to the stream PC. We figured out that doing that limited the FPS of the output even to this monitor. So that's why I've been having so many issues on this monitor. So yeah, I ordered a splitter, an HDMI splitter, so I can do it a different way and see if that helps.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
streaming technical issues, right?
Right. It's good to be able to figure that stuff out.
Yeah. Oh, there are so many things, especially when it comes to video. Like when I got the new card, I couldn't figure out why my screen was still tearing in the middle. Like I'd be playing marbles and my eyes were going buggy because, and it was the problem was the G-Sync.
Is it one solid straight through, like a cut?
It was, yeah. Well, not really. It was like in the middle of the screen, I was getting some of that action going on, and it was because of the frame rate. And what it is it was trying to do, the G-Sync was adjusting for marbles properly, but because I was streaming at the same time, it was trying to then adjust it down to 60. So the video card was doing like double duty.
Right.
Instead of just letting everything run naturally. So what I did, all I had to do was kill the G-Sync, and then everything smoothed right out.
What's with this G-Sync?
G-Sync is very much like V-Sync.
No, not what is it? Like what's with it? It causes so many issues.
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
had issues with it too.
If I'm just, G-Sync is great if I'm just playing a game, not streaming. When I get OBS involved, that's when I suddenly start having all these issues. And I think it's because it's trying to be a one-size-fits-all solution instead of actually tweaking for the individual game.
Oh,
like Marbles locks at 90, right?
Yeah, we locked that at 90.
You locked it at 90, yeah. So Marbles locks at 90. So it's trying to adjust for 144 hertz monitor, but then also kick it down to 60 at the same time for OBS.
Yeah.
And of course, it's the video card doing all this work at once. And I think it just it causes some visual artifacts is what it boils down to. It's trying to do it all instead of forcing the individual to just kind of tweak and hone everything in a little bit is really what it boils down to. But turning the G-Sync off and then just adjusting a couple of things manually, and it took care of the whole issue. Yeah.
Have you guys discussed with other streamers about what kinds of directions they might want to see the game go, or do you have a set plan for the near future? Yeah, like we do our seasonal updates, and we just add stuff to the game every season. So like what's going on right now, I guess, is a lot of like bug fixing and like Kegstan's just rewriting the whole energy server, so that's in the process. And we're just trying to catch up now. There's a lot of users on the game, so a lot of like little bugs are starting to be exposed. So we're just taking this opportunity to clean everything up and try and take everything to a cleaner direction, and then we're gonna start expanding more. And I've got something I might be launching today. Not like in Marbles, but it might be its own thing, and we'll see how that goes. And hopefully it grows into like this nice little community hangout spot or something. I don't know.
Gotta optimize. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so building out the game, getting like, and we're constantly reacting to like the feedback coming into the Discord. It's just right now we're just buckled down with all that kind of stuff with the bug fixing and all that kind of those issues, right? Because the app was having all those issues with the skins and everything. So we had to spend like a couple updates on that, and because of iOS, it was different on iOS. So we fixed it on Google, and then we went to iOS, and then it was the same problems. And we're like, what's going on? So yeah, just been plugging away at that stuff. I guess what's on the community end? I feel like, a week off, I feel like so disconnected. It's crazy. Even though I've been watching more streams as well.
Right.
The thing, I guess the point I'd want to make there, Mike, is that the community has gotten so strong and things have taken off so well, and we have so many truly amazing streamers out there now that things they're just I hate to use this pun, but they're just rolling along.
Yeah.
Everything is moving so strong. The community is forming its own bonds within its own bonds, so to speak.
Right.
And it's been a really beautiful thing to see. It's like, it's no longer just one or two people leading the charge. We have this whole incredible collection of streamers out there that are many of which are rolling marbles almost completely exclusively.
Right.
Now there's always some place for people to go. There's a really wide variety, and that's just it. Is when any one of us like disconnects or unplugs, it's really interesting to come back to it. Like, even if it's just a couple days later and see like what's been going on and who everybody's been hanging out with. I actually really enjoy the fact that when I've been off for a couple of days and I fire back up the stream and we're doing the just chatting at the beginning of the stream and hanging out and talking.
Yeah.
When the community tells me who they've been hanging out with, what's been going on in other people's streams, I almost get like a complete rundown of who's been up to what.
Just get like a highlight reel of what's going on out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear what Spooo did. I hear what Nalu's been up to. I hear what Dad Sandman's been up to. I hear what Sleepy's been up to.
Yeah.
You know, streamers all the way from 10 viewers to 100, and I get this rundown, and it's really awesome.
It is. Yeah.
It's a really great reminder of how interconnected we all really are and how much of an effect we have on each other. It's great. It's great. It's all
people
positive.
going around and sharing clips with each other and whatnot, and what's going on. Like, you really get a nice sense of community in that aspect. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like every time I refresh the category during the day, it's like this is all new faces. It's crazy.
Yeah, hanging out in the category is a real eye opener. Like, all these names that I've never seen before, and you go in and you get to know them, and they're great people. There's some really, really nice people picking up this game for the very first time because they love the community. They love the community aspect, and they want to be a part of all that. We should. I don't mean to pat ourselves on the back, and I mean as a community, but we should be proud of what we've done. We really should. It's because we've created this massive, loving community where we take care of our own communities that are right in front of us, and we take care of the marbles community as a whole. And it's like so many people have taken that responsibility on, to be kind and be loving and be welcoming. And I used to hear, we went through a phase where a lot of new viewers would come into my channel and they would tell me how streamer X was being unkind or not being friendly or whatever. I don't hear that anymore. And I've noticed that a lot of new viewers will come in and they'll tell me who they got discovered through. Because I'll ask them, it's like, do you have any questions on the game? Are you new to marbles? And they'll come in and tell me how they discovered it. And
I like hearing those stories. Those first marble stories. What a great
experience it was. And I'm like, this is what we've been hoping for, So
yeah, there's so many great streamers out there now. It's like hard to keep up with. It makes me want to try and design a system where like you can get to know people at scale somehow. It's really weird. It's such a weird thought process. Like, because I want to know everybody, but it's like I can't get the information in my head. I need it like around. Like
I need to hear this idea when you figure it out.
This is crazy, Spooo, but like imagine like this profile followed you around in marbles and like you built it the way you wanted. So like you kind of share what you want and you can like get to know people more, just like little reminders, like tidbits, their favorite, whatever. It's just something that's been rattling around my mind because it's like, there's so many awesome people in the community and it's just hard to get to know everybody. Right? Yeah. It's almost like, when you go to a party, you put a name tag on and then like you have that first introduction. Well, we're doing this at scale. There's so many more people. Well, we need more than a name card. We need me card.
we need the back of the card in the game, like shows all the personal stats on the other side.
That's so good. Flip the card
to put their personal stats out.
Hey,
there
I'm
anyway.
Spooo. What'd it do? Oh, okay. That's what Spooo does. All right, cool. That's good. But yeah, something like that. It's like, I don't know. Maybe it's weird. Maybe it's inhuman.
No, I mean, It'd be super interesting to see something like that in a video game, because I mean, it's a community built video game. Like,
Yeah.
what's this game without the community? So I don't know. The problem we could go on and on about that. I don't know if I want to do that right now.
No, exactly.
But
there's so many issues that could come to life with that, right?
I was gonna say, there is the other side of that too. But you're talking about what makes this game so unique.
Yeah.
Is the community, the fact that, like, the fact that I'm trying to think of how I want to say this. Setting it up so that somebody could set up their own marble has had an effect beyond what I imagined it to have. The way it has so severely increased viewer ownership, and what they're doing on screen, and how, and their involvement, and how involved they actually feel. So many people come in and they're like, can you zoom in on my marble for a minute? I want to see it, like what it looks like on your stream, kind of thing. And it was, for any reservations that anybody had initially, I think that all of that has just been dashed at this point, because it's had such an amazingly positive effect between the cards, between both the way you can personalize your card already and the way you can personalize your marble. And it's always so much fun for me to see, like, what somebody wanted to do with it.
Right.
And how they evolve it as other skins become available to them in the store, things like that.
It's just so much fun. Like, it's just so much fun. So any sort of bad thought about it just went out the window, because it's like, holy crap, this is just it's so much fun.
Yeah. And I fully understand where the concerns were coming from. I really did, because I had some of those reservations myself, I admit. But it was one of those things that when Mike said we were going to do it, I was like, okay, I might have this little pile of reservations over here, but we're setting that aside, because I think that anything that increases personalization at this point only brings that community in closer.
Right.
It was almost like giving the community a great big technical hug, so to speak, and saying, you really matter. Now you can do this. We want your involvement. We want you to do this your way. It's your marble. So play it the way you want to.
Right.
And it's created this massive effect. There's still people out there that are perfectly happy to just roll whatever's on the screen.
Right.
Just you called it, Mike. It's like some people just want to do that. But there's those that are really heavily involved, and they want that personalization, and now they've got it.
Yeah.
And
it's just creating more and more options. They can customize their own. They can pick on the screen. They can use an emote. There's just all sorts of different options. So that just broadens the scale of what people can do. And
you can integrate the way that you want to integrate, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you walk into a stream and they're playing marbles, you can immediately get involved with 0 downloads, like nothing. And you can even get to the point where you have a little bit of personalization where you pick a streamer's skin. So, like, right away you can get a sense of the game. And then if you choose to, you can go to the app and obviously take that to the whole nother level. Or if you just want to go in between, you can go to a streamer that has an emote, get their emote, and then you have your way of joining with a little bit of personalization. But it's the idea of just anybody can play however they want, kind of like wherever they want, with whatever customizations they want. There's no need to onboard the user, which I think a lot of companies probably think we're psycho for, or maybe they just think we're crazy. But like, everybody always wants to onboard the user, right? That's usually the intent of like a software that exists, is like, find a way to onboard the user, get their email, get them to sign up so you can bombard them with your advertisements or whatever. But like, I don't know, I just don't like that process. I don't know. That's kind of like where I head with onboard, the thought of onboarding. It's like, let people onboard if they want to, and then if they don't want to, then they can still play the game and have fun with the streamers. And I think that's the coolest thing, is that there's no limit for you guys as the streamers, right?
Yeah. there's definitely in terms of what you're talking about there, Mike, there's definitely a difference between to put it simply, between onboarding and hazing. And there are some games where it starts to feel like it's almost a hazing, almost. You know, it's like because there's so many things that a viewer or a player has to get into in order to like really get involved and really figure everything out. And outside of like when it comes to getting involved with marbles, like the initial point of it is very simple to get into. You know, the camera controls will immediately feel familiar to anybody that has ever played an FPS on a PC. And if they haven't played an FPS on PC, well, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. You know, you can hit escape at pretty much any time and get the basics. If you want to get more involved and see, you know, all you have to do is get involved with the community even a little bit, and they're going to start telling you about slow-mo. They're going to start talking to you about camera settings. They're going to start talking to you about the track builder. You know, go even further, and you know, there's podcasts
a whole
that
rabbit
are being
hole
done, and like there's so many.
It just keeps going.
Yeah, well, it's like what we were talking about a couple weeks ago. Like you know, layering works for everything, and it allows that person to come in and get involved in layers. You know, how many layers do you want to go in? And the choice is yours. Do you want to just do layer 1, or do you want to go up to all the way up to layer 10?
And at this point in marbles, that's like there's so much in marbles that you can jump from one thing in marbles, do it for an hour, go to the next thing for an hour, go do another thing for an hour, and it's like you're in the same game, but you're doing so many different things, and you could spice up your stream or just spice up how you feel about it, because hey, maybe I'll go work on a track for an hour, maybe I'll do boost mode for 10 races, and maybe I'll go, you know, do a 20 race or a 15 race Grand Prix or something like that, and or maybe I'll go do a Royale. Or there's just so much that you could bounce around doing, and that can help keep it fresh too. If you feel like you're getting bored, or maybe you just want to show people all the aspects of marbles as a streamer, you can just start going through all of them a little bit, like every day.
Yeah, I can't wait for the fashion shows. I can't wait for the fashion shows. It would be really, you know, even if that never came to actually be, like I've already been looking at it going, you know, you could still put a starting grid up, line everybody up, and say, all right, let's look at what you guys have all been doing. Like there's so. And I think that's what everybody misses, is that there are so many different things, whether it's even a dedicated game mode or not, Spooo. Like there's so many things that you treat the game like a sandbox and you build on top of it. You start thinking through some of these ideas and it's like, oh yeah,
right, yeah,
I could do that. You know,
it's because there's so many things, you just never know what, you know, just sitting around brainstorming can do.
Yeah. Yeah, and that does come back to where we started with the podcast today too. It's like if you take that little bit of time, when you know, time off of camera doesn't mean you're not working.
Yeah.
It means that you can look at what you're working with.
Yeah.
And start to develop, not just think of. Like ideas are great, and ideas that are written down are even better, but it's the best when they're actually thought about and then executed.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of ideas that sit on paper and will be on paper forever,
right,
so to speak. But
yeah, and I think a lot of people don't know what to. I shouldn't say a lot. There's people out there that don't know what to do when they're not streaming, kind of like what we talked about before, and so they're sitting around not streaming, and they're like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? So then they just stream again, and that's just like one of those moments where you just need, what do I do? You sit down, you really think about some of the things you've written down, some of your ideas, and you just try to execute. You have to pick one and execute.
Yeah.
Prioritize and execute.
Yeah. And that's really it. There's nothing more satisfying to me than a to-do list that's been half done
yeah.
in a day. It's like, oh wow, look at all that stuff we got done today. And that's it though. That's the importance of writing that down and prioritizing the list is a big thing. It's a really big thing. Like, you know, what is the most critical for you and your community right now?
Yeah.
What is gonna gain the most ground? What is everybody gonna get the most enjoyment out of? things like that.
Yeah.
And a project done is so satisfying, but making sure that list is there so that you have your next thing that you need to tackle is just as important, because if you don't have that, then either A, you don't know where to go once that idea is completed, and B, you have nothing to look forward to.
Right.
It's like, what is that next creative project going to be? What is that next thing I'm gonna tackle? And it keeps life interesting. It always gives you that next.
Well, it's also nice
step.
once you've actually cleared your palette and you're like, whoa, I can pretty much do whatever I want again. Like you could be like, all right, I'm fresh for like whole new ideas. That feeling, I haven't felt that in a long time.
There's always too many ideas.
There's just so many things, right? You just continually plug away. Like that's why I decided to take some time. One of the major reasons is just to start catching up on stuff that like just all these like random ideas that are coming up. It's like, let's try to buckle them down and plug away. See what happens. And you just use the time to watch streams and follow up a little bit more with some people in the community.
Find your bearings, plug away.
Yeah, but it's not really a break, Smiling. That's the thing, is like I'm at the computer like cranking still just as long, if not longer now, actually, because I'm sitting. But yeah, it's just a break from streaming directly, right? It's just like being able to focus the mind, because streaming often, I mean, Spooo, I think you talk about like the lasers, right? It's just like there's just so much information flowing around you. It's just always triggering distractions, and it could be ideas, great ideas, but there's no, like, if you're just pumping out ideas and no production, then.
Well, and I think that's something that has affected me out of streaming too. So like, you need the breaks out of streaming for long periods of time, so that. Let me try. I don't know. Let me try to explain it this way. Like when I'm streaming, there's lots of things going on, lasers everywhere, and you're trying to just juggle it all at once. and then you stop streaming, and those sorts of things can still happen just because you're in that mindset. But then the longer you kind of like break away from it and just relax for a bit, like sometimes I just got to go away from my computer and just go like sit down and lay down and like put everything away and just okay, and then like focus those lasers, I guess is what you could say. Because I've noticed that streaming a lot has affected that outside world like that, and I don't like it. I want that relaxed time is so important, to just be able to recharge, kind of. You lose your mind otherwise.
It's always really interesting that, like, when you say breaks take on a lot of different forms, you know, and how you spend your downtime really affects what goes on during your uptime. You know, I go through phases. I don't know if the two of you do this, but I go through phases where downtime for me, like really recharging my batteries, means like sitting here and working and building out something new. And then sometimes recharging for me means I've just got to get out of this room.
Right.
And I need a day, like I was talking about what I did on Mother's Day, but I need a day away. You know, I need a day. I'll go build Legos, or I'll go play. The other day, I haven't done this in forever. I fired up to get out of the room, but still like be playing a game. I haven't turned on my Xbox One in forever, but I went out and played Minecraft in survival mode on my Xbox One, just so I could play a game, but be kind of brain dead at the same time with it, because with Minecraft, I can go on automatic and just go that way with it. And that helped too. Was just, you know,
I guess it just depends on how you're feeling, really, what your brain is telling you. And so people, you know, I'm in North Carolina right now, and people have been like, "Oh, I hope you're enjoying vacation." And I'm like, I don't really know how to respond to that. People have said that, and I'm kind of like, well, it is a vacation. I'm in a change of scenery and stuff, but like my brain hasn't stopped, and my brain hasn't told me that this is a vacation, I guess. Like I brought all my stuff here with me because I planned to work. It was just kind of like a change of scenery type thing, which it's been really good for me, honestly. But I feel like I haven't it doesn't feel like vacation. It's just like a change of scenery, I guess. But it is vacation at the same time. Kind of like taking a break from streaming for Mike. Like you're not really taking a break, but you're taking a break.
One thing I'm noticing during this conversation is that when you're talking about this kind of topic, it gets a little bit difficult to talk about in front of your community, because you never want your community to feel like you're burning out or you don't enjoy your time with them, because you very much do. You very much do. But what we're talking about here, and I want to make this clear to everybody that's watching the podcast right now, is that we're talking about doing the things so that the time we spend with you is that much more enjoyable. Because if the streamer is refreshed and the streamer is feeling really good, it goes back to what we've talked about before as well, in terms of the streamer is the leader of their stream. They lead the charge. So if the streamer is feeling like crap, the stream is going to go that way. If the streamer is feeling amazing, if they're coming in energized and pumped and they're ready to roll and all that stuff, the stream goes that way as well. Yeah. And that's why this is important. It's not about, oh, we need time away from you guys. It's about, we need time to unplug from everything we do so that we're refreshed, so that when we turn the camera back on, we can do that much more for you. And everybody benefits from that.
It's like having a production line of stuff, right? And there's just constantly more, and you look, you're like, oh my God, I don't even see the end of that. It's just constant, right? Yeah. And then when you're able to cut off from like the stream, you can kind of try and catch up on all that extra stuff that's coming down the line. You start seeing the end, you're like, oh, okay. All right. Here we're catching up here.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big, I mean, I'm hoping to experience that soon. And then, see where that leads.
See where it goes. Yeah. The other thing you got to remember is, out there are so many little distractions that will come up. Things that, like, you'll be in the middle of working on an idea, and this is how people get scattered. You'll be in the middle of working an idea, and then some other entity that you work with will do something really radical or really big, and suddenly you're forced to shift your focus in order to make sure that you stay relevant or make sure you stay complete. And like, to use a recent example here, what Twitch just did with their front page is a perfect example. All of a sudden now everybody can see the new front page. It's been rolling out in phases. Some people still can't see it yet, as I've been finding out, but most people can. It's been this gradual transition. Well, that's become a complete game changer, because the way they're handling the front page is going to have a direct effect on discoverability and how you put yourself out there and all that. And there was a lot to it. Like, on my to-do list, one little line was straighten out your panels. And I decided last week, I started working away on that. And what I thought was going to take me maybe an hour, almost all day, because I ended up redoing so much to make it look good and make it look consistent across all the different platforms. Right. So whether somebody's watching the stream and it's 3 columns or 4 columns, and that's what I mean by distraction, is when you get into the middle of something and you realize that the rabbit hole goes down a lot deeper than you first thought, you're better off allowing yourself the time to do it right, and then let it go, instead of getting it half done and having to walking away from it, and then because it bugs you, it'll keep nitpicking at you. It's like, yeah, I know I got to do that. Yeah, I know I got to do that. I
hate that.
Rather than do it just,
I hate that.
Get it out. We all do.
Get it away.
And and if it takes an extra day, it takes an extra day, but stay dedicated to that project until it's completed. Then move on to the next thing. Because the other thing is that, the way, in terms of like how you take care of your community, a whole bunch of half-done stuff isn't going to do anybody any good.
Yeah.
That's
why that prioritizing is so important.
Yeah. Yeah. But it can be really difficult to stay focused at times, especially when somebody comes up with something. It's like, oh yeah. And it's a great idea. but it's more involved than people it's like, oh, you mean I actually really do need to go into my videos now and start changing what category it's in. It's like my stream opens with just chatting, but it's not an overall just chatting stream. It's a marble stream, or it's a podcast, and now you need to do a little bit more work on the back end of Twitch that maybe you didn't think about before. So yeah, it's a little bit, there's always those little shifts, and it always comes when you're in the middle of working on something else major,
Of course,
along the way, of course.
Yep.
So
because everybody's always innovating.
Mhm.
So we're trying to anyway. So things are always going to be changing, and you just got to change around it. It's an ever evolving situation.
Do you think there's a downside to the Twitch pages? You think our channel pages can become too busy? You think that's possible?
If they keep going, I would think on that a little heavier. Right now, I would say no. Only because the things they built in, like I really went through the page, and that's why I'm going to be teaching on Tuesday. I'm going to be teaching the classes on that.
Yeah.
I went through, and what they've actually done is they've actually followed the practice of good artists innovate, great artists steal. They've taken a lot of ideas from other places that work, by the way, and built it in.
Okay.
And I see this as, I'm not saying it's perfect, Mike, but I see this as the first step towards them working on the discoverability issue that Twitch has. And the fact that they've got it broken down in different categories, where if you want to see a whole bunch of highlighted videos, things like that, you can go to that. Like there's the main about page that will be there, and it'll have all the panels and everything, just like we're used to. So they didn't shock anybody with it. But there are other areas you can go to where you've got, like we were talking about the intro videos a couple of weeks ago. So the intro videos will be there. I think that's a great thing. The way they've organized it, it seems like it's very organized. And I think it's going to start getting streamers thinking about some other things. Like I mentioned before, they're going to start thinking about other things that they never thought about before. We put a lot more work into our streams than we give ourselves credit for at times, I think. And maybe starting to utilize some tools that we've had all along, but the front page change is going to bring a little bit more of that to the forefront. Like maybe having a little better thumbnails, or at least thinking about what's seen during the VOD would be a good representation of what you're doing. Like we're going to start thinking on things in a little bit of a different level. It's going to become, I want to say it's making things more robust for us.
Okay.
And it's going to, they're taking it, admittedly, what it felt like to me as I was setting my page up with all the new features.
Yeah.
It felt a little bit more like setting up a YouTube page, but again, I mean that in a good way, because one of the biggest problems we have as streamers is to be discovered. And this is where some of that panic comes from, by the way, when we're talking about how many hours we stream, is being able to be discovered when we're not online.
Right.
And you'd always have to go to other services to have that happen. And Twitch is making steps to change that. And when I'm looking at these changes, I have to applaud that, because I want people to be able, because Twitch is my home base. So I want people to be able to come to my home base and see what I'm about, even if I don't happen to have the camera on at that point. You know, if they come in, they're in on my day off, or they're checking me out in the morning when I stream in the afternoon, or whatever it is. That discoverability needs to be there. And again, I'm not saying it's perfect. Nothing really ever is. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's a hell of a lot closer than it used to be.
Well, the landing, like the actual landing onto somebody's channel now when they're not live, is nice. Like I think it's really good. I was just honest. It was an honest question. Just like,
yeah.
Do you think it can get to the point of like where it gets to be too much? Like the reason I ask is because YouTube has a problem with discovering live content. Like if you're live, it's very hard to figure it out at your channel. Like it's hard to figure out if a person's live, right? What if that happens to our channel pages? you no longer
Yeah.
know and have the right information that they're live right now.
Mhm.
And that's like where that connection came from, that thought process.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as they don't take away, there's some very key features that Twitch has. That right now are great indicators whether or not somebody is actually live, and they're actually starting to do suggested channels when you land on, when you land on the homepage and all that. And as long as they don't start messing with that too badly, I think we'll be all right there as far as being able to figure that out. And I agree with you. YouTube is, when it comes to like live streams and all that, it's terrible to figure
You
out
can't
who's
find
doing
it,
what.
right? Yeah.
I have such a hard time finding live people.
I've
on
gotten
YouTube.
notifications
Yeah.
from people like, oh, this person's live that I follow. And I'm like, oh, I
Mhm.
click the notification. It takes me to their channel. And I'm like, wait, where?
Yeah, where's the live stream? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's one of YouTube's problems that they've got to fix, is that, and you got to remember too that what is the purpose of the platform? It's like YouTube is very heavily focused on video content, and it still feels like the live streaming aspect of it, and I'm talking just simply as a user, okay, the live stream aspect of it was kind of an afterthought and something they've kind of moved over to the side. Whereas Twitch is a live streaming platform.
Right.
That's how it formed. And the VODs and all that are secondary. Coming back around to like the front page for just a second, what I like with what they're doing now with all these front page changes and all that, is that all of that content that has been created from the VODs, from the highlights, from the clips, all of that good stuff, is now, you now have a place to showcase that, and you didn't really have that before.
Right.
You can highlight it better. You can actually create playlists using your collections and put those up there. If you want to have, and it gives you more control too. So if you want to have a collection of what you feel are your funniest moments, boom, there it is. If you want sentimental moments, if you have moments where, like, if you do a lot of technical wizardry and you want to have moments where you show some of that off, all you have to do is go in and create the highlights for it and build it into a collection. And now you have control of all these playlists and how to order them. And if you don't do any of that, Twitch also did a really nice job of building in some really great defaults. Like right now, I still don't have my 1 minute channel trailer set up yet.
Yeah.
But it'll still automatically pop up. Well, here's the latest broadcast.
Right.
And then you move to over, and then it's here's the latest highlight.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't dove in crazy into it, but I mean, from what I've seen, I kind of like it right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get too bothered by changes or anything, but just from clicking through, I can see where maybe if they keep going with like all sorts of more and more and more, it could get out of hand. But if they keep it where it is and people get used to it, I think people are going to really like this setup where it's at, especially with what Standard's talking about too, with like the videos and the highlights and stuff. Like if you go into there, like just on the front page, and you have the home and the about, and the schedule thing's really cool.
Yeah.
Like I love, that's awesome. And then the videos, and you can filter the videos right there. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of potential with like using those tools and getting some discoverability from it, I think.
The schedule is good.
Or having the content too.
The schedule's great.
It's going to force people to make a schedule because they're going to want a schedule. Like, they're going to want content in their schedule. So I think it's going to be a good practice because, like, I don't even have a schedule. I just go live whenever. But maybe now when I come back, maybe. I don't know.
it's
Schedules
commitment.
are hard.
It's a little bit of commitment, it's and if we want to go back again, if we want to go back to original topic on this, you can gain a lot more ground as a streamer streaming for 4 to 6 hours a day and keeping a consistent schedule where people always know when you're starting and generally when you're going to stop for the day than streaming for 8 hours, like all over the place. I see some people putting just impossible work into their streams, and they'll stream for 10 hours, but you never know when they're starting and when they're stopping. So somebody might find them. Discoverability is the toughest thing. Once you've climbed that hill, the consistency and all that, and that's what makes consistency so important. The consistency and all that is what's going to keep people coming back, because they're if they're available at that time to come watch you, odds are they're going to be available at that time to come watch you again.
Right.
But if one day you're starting it, and I'm talking about radical swings here. Like, I'll see a streamer go on like at my time at 8 a.m. and I'll try to go back and find them again, because in the mornings I'm a little more free, so I might actually have a stream up while I'm doing other work. And I go back to find them again, and the next day they're starting at 5 p.m. And there's this massive swing, and it's like, oh my gosh, like, just stabilize it, condense it a little bit better so you have time for other things, but be consistent with it. And that's again coming back around to the front page now. That schedule, again, it's going to get people thinking about that more, where I completely agree with you, Mike. They're going to think about it more where I don't think they thought about it as much before. Yeah.
It's crazy time for Twitch. Oh man, perfect timing. It's perfect timing for us.
When was that?
Yeah.
Did they do that big downtime already? Was it, or was that supposed to happen this week, or was it like Tuesday or something? Twitch, that is. They did it in the middle of the night. Is that what this was like for this whole? Maybe they were like
preparing
for.
Because they had like
changes.
a week or 2 weeks of bull crap going on, just like downs, disconnecting on Twitch.
Transcoding was all over the place.
Right.
It was, transcoding has been, wow. Like I can't, as an affiliate, I can't figure it out. You know, it was like we were laughing because the other day we got transcoding, but I broadcast at 720p 60, and it gave me the transcoding, but the top option was just 720p. Not that was a huge deal, but you can tell that like the transcoding is having issues right now, because at times where you would normally have it, at first I just thought it was because of COVID and because so many more people were streaming and there are more partners back online and all that. And I'm like, well, maybe I'm just, I'm towards the end of the list because of when I start or whatever. But it's really been all over the place. There's been really no consistency with it at all. Most of the time we get it just fine. Sometimes we don't, so it's been, it's been kind of strange, but it is what it is. But there's a lot, I think, because of COVID and because of how much extra strain is on their systems, they've had to adjust. There's a lot of adjusting going on while they're still, and I think they're playing a little bit of a game of hurry up right now, because getting the new features out while we've got so many people on the platform watching, I'm sure that's going to take a much higher priority while they're trying to deal with what everybody else deals with a lot of the teams working from home and all the social distancing and all that. So it's a very unique time for them too. They have a very unique set of challenges. I mean, I'm very happy that the platform,
maybe that's why they're doing it though at the same time. Maybe it's just like, let's try to do something. Let's innovate with all these people around.
Yeah, it's really great to see the platform have all this success though, because it's good for so many streamers right now. Like it's giving them a bit of a boost that they normally would not have had. And if there's going to be, if you have to look, because there's a lot of clouds right now, so you've really got to go looking for silver linings. But that's one of the silver linings, is that as streamers, it's a great time to be out there. It's a great time to be putting yourself out there. You are getting a kickstart in building something bigger that you normally would not have. You just have to be mindful, like, again, coming back to original topic here, you have to be mindful that while you are building your channel, that streaming should not be the only thing that you're doing. You need to be building on other areas and on other fronts, because this is going to come to an end. And you're going to want to make sure your other places where you can be found, you want to make sure you've built in other places as well to have a bit more of an established audience, so that you're, when things slow down a bit again, you're not going to really you're not going to get too bruised by it, because you have other outlets, other places that you've secured.
Well, you already experienced that at a small scale every season, right? The start of a season is a little bit more hype. The end of the season is less hype, so you have less people around. So if you're not fighting for relevancy on all platforms, you're going to feel the downtrend every season.
Yeah.
from start to finish. But if you create some way to be sticky, then you'll feel it
Sticky.
less.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
That all comes back to really to heavily connecting with your community too. That's a really big deal, because they want to come, like we talk about it all the time, like what happens in the off season. All the grinders and pro marblers come hang, because they're not running multiple channels and all that. They'll pick some of their favorites and they'll go hang out and actually talk with some of the streamers for a while. It's really awesome. It's a really awesome time between seasons, because you get to talk with people you normally don't get to talk with. And that's just it. If you're creating that warm environment while the season is on, or when things are really hot, like they are for Twitch right now and all that, if you're putting that effort forth, that is going to greatly pay off for you up the road, because you're going to have this amazing community that surrounds you no matter what's happening in the outside world, and that's a really big thing. Huge thing. Huge. And gentlemen, we are at time.
Yeah.
Are there any last minute questions
down.
anybody had, or is there anything coming up on your end, Mike? Has anybody used the redemption to ask any questions at this point? Or
I forgot about the questions. Oh my god. There's a list.
is there a flood?
More card background choices. Yes, cards and pins. We've literally been saying that for like a month. But yeah, more content. Just give us time to build it out. Now that we have the shop set up, it's just about populating all the cool stuff that Tom can make. The current season ends. Okay, then yeah, the rest is all old. Okay. Yeah, the current season ends 31 May. 31.
Is the 10 a.m. Set in stone for the reset?
Yes, the 10 a.m. is set in stone. Like soft stone.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where we're at. We want to keep it relevant for us. So if there's an issue, we want to be up for it so that we can address it. So if there's any functionality, we're going to try to target it in zones that we can address. Because if we're not up, then it can't get fixed. So
yeah,
that's the goal. I know it sucks that you guys got used to a certain time and now it's changed. It's life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's better if the team is awake. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe one day we'll be able to have a 24/7 crew and be able to have server maintenance whenever we need. But for now, we'll do what we can. Yeah, I got like a little thing I might be launching later on today. It's like its own channel and stuff. So yeah, we'll leave that. Yeah. It can evolve into something good if people like it. If it's not, if people don't like it, it can disappear very easily too. So I'm not too worried. I got a bunch of stuff I'm working on in the background, like a website, but this is like all long term, and then obviously changes to the game, minor stuff for next season. But yeah, I'll keep you guys updated through these two awesome gentlemen here.
Yeah. We'll keep you posted. We'll keep you posted. Spooo, anything you wanna shout out before we close for the day? Or
Tilted tournament tomorrow, 11 to 2.
What's the plans?
Well, I guess it's going to be my channel, Baxcast channel, and I'm thinking about throwing in GJC as well. So it could be all three of us kind of casting it. As long as those guys are up for it. So come around to all three of our channels. Let's just do it. I'll ask him to do it if he wants to join in. So assume that it's going to be all three of our channels. We're kind of just going to be talking about Tilted, casting it, and looking at all the different channels of the people that are participating. So if you want to come by and watch a little bit, come to our channels. If you want to participate in the Tilted itself and go out to the other streams and actually drop a ball, that's great as well. And and I guess there's a list of people who have signed up on Discord. And is that cut off, right? That's cut off at this point?
I'll be cutting it off later on today, and then we'll get the list out, shout out on Discord.
Okay, so the cutoff is tonight. If you guys want to sign up,
Get signed up.
Get signed up in the Discord.
Yeah. And Final Ross Battle asked, simulated tilted does not count, right? It needs to be, you need to be doing it live with and streaming it.
Correct.
Live with your stream.
With your viewers, yeah.
Your viewers, yeah. Okay. Amazing. All right. And then everybody, okay, a couple announcements for the next 2 weeks. And we did this to save you some confusion as well. Their community day will not be here. Community day is going to start out at 12 noon on my channel. I'm going to take it until 4 p.m. and then we are going to raid into Spooo. Spooo is going to take 4 p.m. forward for the rest of community day. And we're going to do that for the next 2 weeks. It's today and next Friday as well. Beyond that, we don't know. We'll let you know if anything changes beyond the norm. Coming up on my channel on Tuesday, you guys have been asking when I'm going to start the advanced classes. Well, here you go. We're going to start Tuesday, 3 p.m. We're going to do the first class. We're going to then move into just chatting and question and answer. So if you have any questions on the topic at hand, you can ask that. And if you have anything that's been bugging you with your streaming or anything that you want to ask me about, you are more than welcome to ask any random question that you want to. We'll then move into marbles for a little bit. And then at 7 p.m., we will, and this is all Eastern, by the way, everybody, 7 p.m. Eastern, we will move into a duplicate class. So we are going to teach the same class twice in a day. And the idea being is we want to make sure that we're still reaching out to our friends across the Atlantic if they want to participate in this, and people that are just on North American side that are able to be with us earlier. Those that would like to be with us a little bit later or can't be with us until later, you get that as well. So it will always, and that will also be class, and then we'll do question and answer afterwards for that as well. The very first topic we are going to tackle, by the way, speaking of Twitch's new front page, is going to be on Twitch's new front page. How to set yourself up. I was trying to think for an opening class. I was trying to think of something very concrete that I could teach you that would be an immediate benefit to anybody that did it. And I think that is going to be a great place to start. And guys, I did figure out quite a few tricks while I was working through it myself. And I do want to share that with you, including the frustration of how you keep those panels all organized. Next Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern on my channel as well. It is the Ballsy podcast again. And I want to start giving this a shout out on Fridays because this time around, Enders was yesterday. Next week, it's Nalutik that's going to be joining me. So we're going to be talking quite a bit about her journey through marbles and, you know, getting a little bit personal with her and just how things have been going and kind of take that from there. So, but everybody, you know, again, thank you all so much for being here with us this morning. As always, it was absolutely wonderful, wonderful, wonderful having you here.
Thanks for coming out, guys.
Yeah.
On behalf of my dear friends at Pixel and Spooo, we love you guys very dearly. Thank you so much for all the support and love that you throw us. And I will see you all on my channel in a little less than an hour for the start of Community Day.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.